It's Wellness Wednesday, so let's talk about the different types of diabetes. So, diabetes, usually we just think of type 2 diabetes. It's adult onset diabetes, and unfortunately, we're seeing it the onset earlier, secondary to the overweight and obesity epidemic. So, type 2 is as we become more and more insulin resistant, meaning we have insulin, and it's just our muscles and our tissues are not seeing it the same way that it did before. So our blood sugars can rise higher, which is a little weird because we use insulin to treat it, right? And you end up needing to use more and more insulin, as well as other medications to help get that number down. I will tell you, with type 2 diabetes, it is incredible what we can do with diet, just let alone this week. As I reduced someone's carbohydrates and sugars and breads and rice, they were using half the amount of insulin. And my guess is, since I've been doing this for over 15 years, we'll be off insulin here in the next few weeks, which is just incredible. That alone is just diet control. So can you get diabetes type 2 under control? You sure can. And a lot of times we can get you off all medications. So it is truly something that is secondary to insulin resistance. Okay, that's the key term. So you have insulin, your pancreas is making it, your tissues are just not as sensitive to seeing it and then using it as a form of energy. So that's different than type 1. Type 1, you're usually diagnosed very early and your pancreas is not making insulin itself. So those islet cells of the pancreas are not making insulin. So unfortunately, you cannot cure type 1 at this time. Lots of research being done, trying to figure things out on whether or not you can regenerate pancreatic cells, but at this point, we don't have a cure for type 1 diabetes, so you are insulin dependent. So if you've heard about the term insulin dependent diabetes, that is your type 1 diabetic. Again, super early in life, usually they end up with diabetic ketoacidosis. Not a very good thing to have, but they go almost into like a coma because they don't have insulin in order to regulate their glucose levels. But can you control type 1 diabetes? You sure can. Again, diet means so much to them, but unfortunately, you will need insulin for the rest of your life at this point until something else comes out, being able to regenerate pancreatic cells. So what is type 3? Have you started to hear about type 3? Unfortunately, we are thinking about type 3 secondary to what's going on with our society with obesity and dealing with brain and dementia. So tune in more for that. We'll be talking more as that comes about. But so many of us are wanting to slow down that aging process in our brain. And so we are wanting to decrease memory loss, as well as cognitive dysfunction, and wanting to really just live our full lives and have that brain power to do so. So we kind of touched on type 1, type 2, and type 3 diabetes today. Hopefully you learned something a little bit new. The biggest thing I want you to take from this is your diet matters. Okay, bye-bye.